Welcome to Reds Access, your weekly Cincinnati Reds podcast throughout the 2025 season, covering Reds news, games, and more. Follow us across most platforms at Reds Access, Instagram, Reds_Access, and TikTok, Reds Access Official. We're your hosts, Collin and Kyler Osterberger, lifelong Reds fans who love to talk ball. First off, Kyler, how was your week?
It's good. How was yours, man? I'm just kind of getting in the groove. I'm getting over a sickness over the weekend, but getting back into it. What about you?
That's what I was saying, man. I had the flu myself, and we got about 4.5 inches of snow today, so I've been kind of snowed in all day.
I knew Kentucky got some snow. We didn't have any up here in Cincinnati. It's some flurries right now.
Yeah, you were luckier than me. But it's supposed to melt. It's supposed to be 50 this week, being a decent week till the back end, so it's not too bad. Listen, listeners, first of all, thanks for the awesome feedback week one. Across all platforms, the podcast itself had nearly 1,000 listens. And over 1,000 listens throughout TikTok, YouTube, Instagram Reels, throughout all of our shorts we posted. So really appreciate the support. Really awesome feedback for our first episode. And I think we're really excited to jump into some real content here because secondly, baseball fans, the wait's over. Pitchers and catchers officially reported to Goodyear on Monday. We're recording this Tuesday night, and you guys will see it here Wednesday morning. Winter's almost over. Short days are almost behind us, and baseball is right around the corner. So, Kyler, we want to jump into this week a little bit and do something a little bit different. I think we're going to go ahead and do a little tier ranking of our favorite top free agent signings and other player additions for the Cincinnati Reds in 2025. So let's go ahead and get this onto the stage here. Throw it on with us as our beautiful mugs get thrown to the side. Kyler, let's start with a big first name here. Let's start with Gavin Lux. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I really liked India. I know they're kind of saying like he's the 2.0. It's just kind of a wait and see. We'll see how he kind of fills in with the Reds. But if I was to rank him on a tier list, I'm kind of stuck. I'm between the B and the A tier. I'm not sure how you're feeling. It's mainly if he can stay healthy. I think that's a really important factor this year. I know he's kind of shown some high ceiling, some flashes of that. But I know that he's had some injuries. He's coming from the Dodgers. It's obviously stacked roster. So he's going to kind of find a spot in the Reds lineup. And I think we'll just kind of see. I mean, I think he has potential for A tier for now, but I'm going to go B tier.
Yeah, so I think he's a really quality pickup. I think, we basically got Jonathan India 2.0 looking at career stats. Before we grabbed Lux, I was really upset. I thought we were a lot of pieces away. We got worse, not better. But when we grabbed him, I felt a little bit more confident. In the second half, Lux posted almost a 900 OPS. 151 OPS plus, and he had a 390 BABIP. That tells you a little bit of was luck. The league average is around 300. But if you take that and regress it to the league average, I'd still expect a 750 OPS or higher from this year. And because of that, I think he's a quality signing. I think he's a quality middle of the order bat, going to give you 15 home runs a year. I don't know. I think this is A tier. I feel like this was something that we really. I know we're starting off strong, but we needed an infielder. I think we got an infielder. Yeah. I'm really happy with the Lux signing. I was going to go A tier.
I do think that it does add some depth to our infield. I'm just struggling with the injury. But, I mean, screw it. Let's go A tier.
All right, starting off strong.
Run it.
All right, so second, I think we're going to talk about Brady Singer. Cincinnati, as you may remember, acquired Brady Singer for Jonathan India and one of the first moves we made this offseason. What are your thoughts?
That was a tough month starting off.
But yeah, it was.
that one caught me off guard. I don't think really anyone that follows the Reds saw that coming. And obviously, India was Rookie of the Year. Beloved. Reds lore, the Viking hat or helmet. So, yeah, tough. I mean, it almost starts you off with why Brady Singer? Like, why did we give up India? But as you start kind of peeling the layers back of the onion, I mean, I'm at a C tier. That's where I'm at. I'm thinking B tier maybe. But here's the thing. He is coming from a pitcher-friendly stadium with KC, and now he's going to the Great American Ballpark, which is more of a hitter-friendly. So I just think that if he can get his stride going, Tito can be the manager that we know he is. I think there's that potential of a B tier, but for me right now, I'm going to go C tier.
100%. I'm on the same exact path. I think he had a career year last year. I'm glad we got a good return for Jonathan India. He's a sinker baller, 40+% ground ball rate.
Yeah.
But opponents
light contact. He's really great at getting light contact.
Yep. But when they hit him, they're slugging over 400. And statistics like FIP, so fielding independent pitching, which is a ERA stat that you should get a better idea of what their true stats look like with that. It suggests he got a little lucky last year. So it suggests around a 4.0 at Kauffman. I'd expect a 4.5, something in the mid fours at GABP. And that's a solid middle of the rotation guy. Because of that, and I'm going to say he's exceedingly average, I'm thinking C tier too.
Yeah, I agree. I think potential for B tier if everything goes well in the season. He's showing that same success. But yeah, it's like I said, Great American Ballpark is a hitter-friendly park.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of see how it plays out.
Yeah, I don't think a C tier is necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it's an average signing. I'm not, and I don't think we have any Fs on this list. So, flies are flies.
I agree.
I don't think we.
Yeah, I feel like people sometimes think of C's as bad. I would say C's is like like you said, an average player, average deal. It's not like rocking the boat, but it's not bad.
I wish my mom would have got that in high school. So we signed really late in the offseason Austin Hayes, 1 year, $5 million, up to $1 million in incentives. I've got my own thoughts on him. He's only 29. He had a kidney infection a lot last year. His whole career is a 745 OPS, above average, 22% K rate, makes contact. BABIP's right at the mean. So his stats are what his stats are, right? 15 home run a year, versatile outfielder, league average, which for the Reds outfield, that's a plus. I mean, we have a pretty bad defense on the outfield.
Our outfield struggles.
Most importantly, though, we can't hit lefties. And this guy hit 354 with a 941 OPS against lefties last year in one of his worst seasons in his career. So I'm saying B tier here, and I'm feeling like a potential outbreak in the All-Star repeat season for the 2023 All-Star.
So potential A.
I'm taking a solid B as a role player here for sure.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to agree. I think B tier. I'll tell you why here in a moment. I think potential of A tier. I don't know what it's going to take to get us to S tier. Maybe down the road on this, but I'm with you. B tier for now. He does have a great reputation for having a strong defense. He showed that offensive potential you've kind of talked about. He's decent hitter, in my opinion. Like you said, just average. He does provide some power, not a power hitter. But yeah, I agree with you. B tier. I do think that he will bolster our outfield. We did struggle with that last season, so hopefully this is a good pickup. So B tier for me.
So a little bit later in the offseason, I'd say midpoint, the Reds surprised a lot of people, and I was kind of surprised so many people liked this guy. But they traded Fernando Cruz, who I thought had some serious issues last year. When his splitter wasn't working, he couldn't get it out. They traded Fernando Cruz and a minor league catcher, Alex Jackson, for Jose Trevino from the Yankees. What do you think about that one?
So, my opinion, C tier. He's known for his elite defense, which is great. I know we have Stevenson back there as well. And he has great pitch framing and game management as a catcher. But I know the Gold Glove in 2022, I think he struggled a little bit. It was inconsistent last season. And a lot of my rating kind of went off how did they play last season. Mm-hmm. I know you can't say just because you did this last season, next season, it's going to be the same. I know that's not true. But that really weighed heavily on my rankings today. So I'm going to go C tier. He's been very kind of just inconsistent throughout his career. I know he had a great year in 2022. So I know he's not known for power, but hopefully just his hitting can kind of get him there. Maybe B tier, maybe, but I'm pretty strong on C tier.
Yeah, he's a backup catcher, right? So C tier, I'm going to say is a solid pickup still.
I think the defense is what really pushes him to potential of a B tier to me. But hitting, it's C tier, maybe
sure.
D, maybe.
So 8 defensive runs saved in 2022. Played only 112 games. He got traded for. You have to look at who he was traded for in Fernando Cruz, who I had serious concerns about, and who he's replacing in Luke Maile, right?
Right.
So there are.
I think he's an upgrade.
He's a much better. Sure. He's a huge upgrade to Luke Maile last year at least. So I agree. I think a solid CT here with this guy, and it's a solid pickup for backup catcher.
Yeah, I agree.
One of the later moves of the year, and one of the more surprising ones, especially after they just did an interview with the twins, Taylor and his brother Tyler, just did an interview about how happy they were to pitch together on the same team. The Reds traded Brandon Roxby for Taylor Rogers and cash considerations. Brandon Roxby, a pretty unknown guy in the Reds minor league system. What are your thoughts as far as that trade, and what are your thoughts about Taylor Rogers, the player?
Yeah. So I actually think the trade's decent. I think that Taylor Rogers has had some success as a closer and a setup. I know we kind of talked briefly last year about we wanted to see some competition with the closer position and see where that will be solidified. He is a left-handed arm, and I think he's going to add some versatility to the Reds bullpen. So I think that having someone that is really dependable in the late innings is going to be really clutch and really good for our rotation. So I'd like to stay with the C tier. I know he's had some inconsistencies the past season where he's kind of struggled with his command and performance. So C tier feels safe to me. Just kind of see how it plays out. What are you thinking?
I'm a big advanced stats guy. I worry about his age. He's 34, so longevity catching up with him. But 3.75 FIP, $1.25 in the WHIP. It's some of the better numbers the Reds bullpen put together in 2024. So 2024 bullpen, the average number is higher than both those categories. He's a really good depth piece. I'm not sure. I would say he's B tier as a pickup as far as like the type of pitcher he is, the stats he had last year. I'm not sure the bullpen needed the arm, to be honest. And we'll jump into that a little bit later on some of our other thoughts on some of the guys might break camp. I'm not sure we needed the arm. So great depth piece, but when we consider what we didn't get, the news broke that we signed Austin Hayes, traded for Rogers because we fell through on a deal for Luis Robert, Bob Rob. I think it's a C tier, man. I wasn't a fan of what we could have gotten otherwise. I think it's a solid pickup, but I feel like they definitely settled there.
Yeah. I don't think it was a bad trade. I agree with you though. I didn't think we got our full potential that we could have pushed for, but I would safely say C tier.
So one that I think we're going to agree is higher than C tier, and one that we didn't settle for was first move of the offseason. The Reds hired a new manager. They fired David Bell, which people have been asking for years. David, good guy, it seems like, good clubhouse guy, but man, I don't think he had the fire to win games. And they hired Terry Francona, signed him in the offseason as the manager of the team, wearing number 77. Previous Reds player Terry Francona, close relationship to Marty Brenneman, supposedly got talked into coming back to Cincinnati.
Yeah, he said it felt right.
Yeah, came here out of retirement, felt right, came here to win, said he loves the team that's here, the players he already had. I imagine he's stressing those players to win. I have faith in them. To me, this is like the Bengals hiring John Madden, right? Like if the Bengals went out there and hiring anybody you want to say, Bill Belichick. And like being like out of retirement, being like, whoa,
Hall of Fame manager.
Yeah, great sign.
No question about it.
That's tier for me.
So going into my breakdown of this is obviously I agree S tier, and I think this is my only S tier out of this entire off-season free agency hires, everything like that. Tito is known for getting every drop out of his rotations, his lineups. I mean, he is known for squeezing every drop of water out of that towel, out of that rotation, those players. Sure. I mean, I don't even know how to explain how excited I was when I saw Tito becoming the next Reds managers. Insane. S tier, 100%. One of the best managers in baseball. Proven track record with Boston winning 2 World Series. The multiple seasons he was in Cleveland, got him to the postseason. I think it was 6 times, something like that. To the World Series, they didn't win, but just overall, great move by the Reds. I mean, almost you can't believe it. It's like Christmas Day. So I think S tier, Tito's gonna really, I think, change this ballpark and this team around. And yeah, hopefully a lot of success, and we'll see what happens. I think it's great hiring over the offseason.
It's one of those moves that brings a winning culture back, you hope, right? Yeah. Like it's one of those moves that you see and you think this might be a real, like, dog mark this page, because
he expects to win too.
Yeah, 100%. And you look at, you say, mark this page, mark this moment, this might be a turning point. So we had a couple of non-roster guys, and we'll get to those guys in a second, but we actually had 2 signings today, today being Tuesday the 11th, to kind of talk on. Big news here. So the Reds, we'll jump to the second guy, or their first non-roster, but first, Reds signed Scott Barlow. 1 year, $2.5 million, kind of last second, as pitchers and catchers already reported. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so Barlow's a C tier for me. I know the news kind of broke today. I didn't have a lot of time to dwell on it as much, but he's a reliable reliever. I think during his time with the Royals, 21-22, he's got experience as a closer in a setup. I think that adds to the Reds bullpen, but I know he's kind of struggled the last 1 or 2 seasons. So C tier for me. I feel like that's kind of like the playing it safe ground. I don't want to give him D tier, and I don't want to do B. So right in the middle, C for me.
I agree. I think it's a C tier move. I think he's a solid innings eater for the bullpen. Buck Farmer type of player. He had the worst year of his career last year and still put up meaningful, good innings. Underlying stats say that he was unlucky last year with that year, and I imagine we see a return to a 4.0 ERA or so, and I'd take a 4.0 ERA out of a guy that's given 50 innings every year since 2021. So innings eater, a glass eater. I think he's a C tier guy. I think a solid pickup. I think I wouldn't go D. I don't know if he really hits the B mark, but I definitely say C tier pickup. I'm happy about it. I think it's a good signing.
Yeah, I agree.
You guys might get the impression now that we don't have too many high people on this list. Like maybe we should. You should have. It's gonna be a lot of season.
Maybe we should be more gracious.
Yeah, maybe. But let's jump into some of these minor league deals, and some of these guys that got signed to some minor league deals. And first and foremost for us here, let's do Albert Abreu. Minor league deal, got an invite to spring training, 29 years old, played for the Yankees in 23, went overseas to Japan in 24, put up a 2.39 ERA, but in 49 innings only struck out 33. I've got concerns about his control. I've got some concern about his ability to get stateside players out. That's not going to play here. D tier, pitching depth at most. I'd be shocked if he sees the major league field this season, and there'd be something that went wrong, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm right with you, D tier. He's a very here's how I view him. He's a high upside project, but key, put the quotation marks, listen to me here, project. Sure. I think it can go great, and it's like, holy crap, like I didn't expect that much from him, or it's probably going to do what we think, just be normal minor league rotation player. So D tier for me. I agree with you. Issues with his control and consistency. So kind of see what he gets, see if he even scratches his full potential. Might just stay in the minors.
One of the guys that we signed to a minor league contract here is a familiar face. Some might remember his no-hitter in 21. Wade Miley signed to a minor league contract, invite to spring training, which is interesting because he's not pitching until May. 38 years old, coming off of Tommy John. What do you think?
Look, D tier, no questions about it. I will say the Reds lore about him is crazy. Did throw that no-hitter in 21. I even saw some I'm a big bourbon guy. I saw some hand-picked barrels in some bourbon groups I'm in. They were the Wade Miley no-hitter game stickers. They were pretty sick. But in this year, 2025, D tier. He's old, coming off Tommy John surgery. I honestly, if he makes the major leagues, I think it's because of injuries or it's kind of a last resort. I think he's going to be in AAA this season.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what happens. But D tier for me.
I totally agree, Kyler. I think that, I remember his no-hitter. I think fondly of the guy, but he's 38 coming off of Tommy John. And you've seen the movie The Rookie. I think it's Dennis Quaid playing Jim Morris. I wonder if it's just him chasing a dream, because I wonder if he even makes it back to the show. I just don't know if 38
Most people
years
at that
old,
age doing Tommy John surgery are most likely done. I mean,
I just don't know anybody that age that gets Tommy John surgery done. I mean, I don't know. I mean, for the love of the game, I guess, though, right?
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things again. I mean, if he has potential and he shows it, great. If he doesn't, it's kind of what we expected.
So a younger guy here, only 26 years old, we signed, would be Joe LaSorsa. Minor league deal, invite to spring training. Threw 17 innings of real bad baseball last year for the Nationals. I saw some footage. I think it was Driveline maybe. Got his fastball up to 92, 93. Put some good innings together in AAA Rochester last year for the Nats. 2.25 ERA over 50 innings. A flyer for basically nothing. But if he's got that fastball up, potentially could eat some innings this year. I'm thinking something around a C tier.
I agree with you. I was kind of battling on this between D and C tier, just mainly because it's a minor league deal. I feel like it's hard to give a minor league deal a C tier. We're thinking like average guys in the MLB in the show. So I'll go C tier for now. I think he's not a high impact name. It's not like that signing like was crazy, blew people's minds. But he does provide depth. I think he is a reliable piece to the bullpen. Let's give him the opportunity and see what he does with it.
Sure. Guy that's a little bit older, played for the Reds previously, little gray in the beard now. Alex Young, minor league deal, invite to spring training. I always liked Alex Young, Kyler, but to me, a left-handed pitcher that can't get lefties out isn't a recipe for success. He's posted some really good numbers since 23 in season, but his underlying stats is FIP nearly 5.0. All of that spells real lucky. I think it's a D tier move. I doubt he breaks the camp on the club, and I see the luck running out. I just don't see him getting meaningful outs. And think back to the last years with the Reds, the end of that year, it seemed like he could not find the strike zone.
Yeah, I agree. I have originally C tier. I was kind of battling between the D and C tier, but I felt like I was giving the D tiers to the minor league deals and the guys that I'm like this. I just don't think it's a good move. But I'm right with you. I'm between that D and C tier. On my list, I put C for now. I think he is a good addition to the pitching staff. He's struggled. So I'm just kind of have to play it out, see what happens this season. Obviously, I hope he plays more up for his potential, but we'll just have to see. I agree with you. He struggled with left-handed batters. Not good for a left-handed pitcher. So we'll see if he can kind of turn that around and change it this season.
So we're thinking C or D here.
We'll go with you.
Okay. And then lastly, signed today, so certainly not least, but Josh Stomont signed today by the Reds to a minor league deal. I don't believe there's an invite to spring training there. If there is, it definitely is not on the 40-man roster. It might be a non-roster invitee signing. Used previous big name for the Royals. Throws gas, still touches 100 on the radar gun. But I believe he's 30, if not turning 30 very soon. Poor command last few years. Pitched in a lot of good games in his career, but has pitched no meaningful amount of innings since 2022. I'm worried about his command. I'm worried about his walk rate. I believe it's 7 per 9. And he may be too old to figure it out. So I think this might be a D tier, Kyler.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm D tier as well. I agree with you on the command issues. It's been going on for a little bit now. I know that he was having some issues with that just due to injuries as well. But I mean, in baseball, everyone's dealing with injuries in some sort of fashion. I know that he's had a really, really bad issue with his walk percentages. I think the league average is like 8.1% or somewhere in that range. And I think he was at 17.8% or something like that last season in that range. So almost double the standard walk percentage in the MLB. So I'm right there with you, D tier. Maybe, hopefully, I'm praying it becomes a C tier throughout the season, but we'll see what happens. D tier.
I think it's a high upside. I think it's a high upside flyer to a guy that's got to figure it out in the minors for sure.
Yep.
Well, that will finish up our tier list here. And I think looking back at it, we think that there's a couple average signings, a lot of average signings, a couple flyers, and a couple big impact players, but none larger than Tito Francona steering the helm this season. I think this club lives and dies with him this year.
Yeah. He's carrying the team on his back.
We'll get back into full screen here. Kyler, outside of those signings and acquisitions we talked about, looking over the spring training roster, there's a number of really intriguing guys that were invited to camp. We just went over some of the guys that got signed this year, but there are some big name prospects and other non-roster invitees with big league camp invites. I want to know what you think of these guys and if you think they have a chance to make the team. So we'll start Reese Hines. What do you think?
Hines, I think his challenges are his plate discipline. He's got a lot of issues with striking out, a really high strikeout rate in the minors. So I'm hoping that he can maybe readjust his stance, readjust how he is coming to the plate. He's really got to correct that, especially if he's got a high strikeout percentage in the minors. I don't think he is going to find any success in the show. So he's got some corrections to do. I think there's still time for him to develop. Hoping for the best, but as of right now, I just don't think he's ready yet. But I'll pass it over to you, what your thoughts are on him.
Here's a guy that reminded me of Aristides Aquino, or what was it, Tom Brenneman? The Aristides. He showed up with real big power. I think he holds the season title for longest home runs, like 487 feet or something, and really slammed the ball, and then really couldn't find the ball. Ultimately got sent back down to fix his swing and never fixed it. The guy has a use it or lose it spring here, in my opinion. He needs to prove he can hit big league pitching. This is a guy that had a 38% K rate and only a 9% walk rate in AA and AAA. That doesn't play in single A, let alone the MLB. So he's got to figure 40% K rate's not going to fly, even especially in the minor leagues.
Yeah,
he needs to figure it out.
I agree. Yeah, and that's my biggest point. If he can fix his strikeout percentage, that goes a long way. But right now, I just don't think he's ready. It's a win it all or lose it all kind of thing with him.
A guy that is really intriguing to me that came in big, I think it was 2023, maybe the prospects game. He was hitting. I think he hit a home run his first at-bat. They were talking about him as being a really exciting 18-year-old player. I believe he went to college a year early, got drafted by the Reds. Cam Collier, future big-name prospect for the Reds, 20 years old. This is a guy I think he's great. I think he's got a lot of potential. There's reports that he let his body get away from him. Sounds like what they were talking about with me when I found Budweiser. Selling my body away from me a little bit. I hope that's not overly true. I think he projects as a true 30 home run guy. 20 home run showing in Dayton last year. But I don't think I don't know. He's not making the team, but I hope he gets some meaningful at-bats this spring.
You sounded that report you were talking about sounded like the Mavs with Luka.
Yeah, that's right.
Got out of shape. Let's trade him to the Lakers.
Yeah, I hope that's not what the Bengals are thinking. Or the Reds are thinking.
But yeah, I agree with you. I think he is going to be a potential future star for the Reds. It's not yet. I think he's going to need a couple years to kind of develop, get to where he needs to be, kind of develop his power, refine his overall game. But in my opinion, I do think that he will be a future all-star with the Reds. So I'm excited for him. I just got a couple years before we see something like that.
So another prospect making the big league camp this year is Edwin Arroyo. Edwin Arroyo didn't see at-bats in 24 until I think it was October, like I believe you said. Hurt with a shoulder surgery, put in good numbers at age 19 year and 23, solid contacts rates, 15 home runs. It makes me think I should expect big things out of him this year. And this is the consensus #1 Reds position player prospect, trailing Rhett Lauder and Chase Burns, who both are also going to be getting some time in spring this year. I saw Rhett Lauder just got shut down for a little bit with some shoulder sore, some elbow soreness.
Yeah.
But I think Edwin might get a crack at it in September, Kyler, but I expect him to start the year in Chattanooga in Double-A. I don't know if you're in the same boat.
Yeah, I am too. Like you stated, Royo's number 3 prospect, number 1 positional player. I am excited. He is an exciting player in the Reds farm system. But like you said, coming off a shoulder injury last year and surgery, I think he came back to play a little bit in October. But I agree with you. I don't think he's going to be on the Reds team this year. Most likely Double-A, maybe Triple-A, and just kind of rehab that shoulder and see what happens.
So in my opinion, Kyler, those 3 guys were guys that are fun to talk about. Guys that, I think, big name prospects coming up, and Reese Hines has big power. Cam Collier, young, exciting. Edwin Arroyo, big name prospect. But these next 3 guys we're going to talk about, I think have real chances of making the roster this year. And I'd like to hear your thoughts. First one is the pride of England, Ian Jabot. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think he will make the team. He had a great 2023 season. I think the biggest issue was his Bell just continued to throw him up on the mound until basically his arm fell off. So I think with all the added pitchers we brought in this offseason, a lot of relief setups, stuff like that, and just kind of basically building our bullpen up, I think he will make the team. Just kind of have to see how it all plays out, but I don't think he's going to be getting thrown up there and left up there a lot like he was with Bell.
So I like Jabot. He eats innings. He gets outs. His peripherals are great, and he's a solid depth piece for the bullpen. I would think he'd make the team, but I think right now it's anybody's guess. And the reason why I think that is that as of today, so not when this gets posted on YouTube, but Tuesday night we're talking, Ian Jabot is not on the Reds 40-man roster. And if he's not on the 40-man roster by the time this gets posted Wednesday, then I believe he's out of the window to be on the 40-man roster without somebody else getting sent to the injury list. So with that said, unless pending some roster gymnastics, he might be the odd man out just because of where he lies on that roster.
It's true.
We got 2 more guys to go over as we kind of wrap up here. A big name that came out of nowhere at the end of last year was Luis May. Pitched for Dayton last year through he pitched in the fall league, more importantly, and threw 9 innings of solid baseball. Didn't give up a run. Fastball topped 100. They said he got his walk rate under control, and he only had 2 walks in 9 innings. Then he goes to the Dominican League, and he walks nearly 2 an inning. He is on the 40-man roster, though, which in my opinion gives him the open inside track for that last bullpen spot. With the signing of Barlow, there is only 1 bullpen spot remaining. Pending Jabot not getting added to the 40 when Brandon Williamson gets added to the 60-day injured list, this is my pick to make that last spot, and I think he makes the team.
Really? Like you said, it's kind of a battle. I know he is on the 40-man roster. Just I guess it's going to kind of shake out. Let's see what tomorrow holds. If he stays, if they make moves. So as of right now, I'm right with you. What you're thinking?
I think last, and I saved the biggest one for last. I think as far as impact goes, Willie Beeman, Will Benson is what I was trying to get out there. Big spring for Willie Beeman. Earned the job in 23, man. Great comeback story. Did everything he could to win it. And then in 2024, did everything he could to lose it. I see the talent. I see the hard hit rate. I see the heart. I see the love of the game. And then I see his StatCast page and his baseball reference page and his 184 average last year and his 40% K rate. It's a mental game with Will. And I think he needs somebody like Tito to use as a mental coach and really reach his potential. And I think he breaks camp with the team. It's probably a 5th outfielder. I think he's going to have to earn those at-bats. Remember that Tito was the coach on the Indians when Willie came over to the Reds, I believe. So, you're looking at it make or break year. He's opposite Hayes, I think, in the lineup. If you're going to see Hayes hitting against lefties, I bet you see Will hitting against righties. He makes the team, but I think he might be on the short end of the stick for demotion if things go well for him early.
I think he's on I agree with you. I think he's on a short leash. I do think maybe hopefully Tito can bring out that potential out of him. But I agree with you. Very short leash this year. I think he will be demoted quickly if he performs like he did last year.
I totally agree. That wraps up all of our offseason signings, all of our offseason trades, and our big six spring training invites. So as we kind of look towards next week, we're really going to start diving into position groups, and we'll start next week's positioning group and throughout spring training, hit one a week, really dive into some projections, what we expect from those players, and maybe do a few more tier lists. But for today, that's going to wrap up this episode of Reds Access. And big thanks to everybody for tuning in and the continued support. Kyler and I will be back with more breakdowns, hot takes, and everything you need to know about the Cincinnati Reds throughout the season. So be sure to follow, subscribe, comment, react, and keep the conversation going with us on social media. Rounding third and headed for home, as always, for Kyler Osterberger and myself, go Reds.
Go Reds.